Mangwana nimwalelepo vukenjani. Xexwa Africa dumela. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. Let's have a look at the top stories in today's broadcast. Namibia tables $105.9 billion Namibian budget. South Africa's Godongwana says growth key to attracting investment. Zimbabwe turns down $367 million US health offer over data dispute. Those are some of the stories that we'll be looking at, including the videos of the week from Namibia. DSTV285 GOTV 251up2.com, Network Media Hub at NTVAFRIKA.MY.NA is where you can watch your favorite weekday news show. My name is Ashwin Berry. Top stories shortly. In a world where politicians promise the moon and deliver potholes, where democracy sometimes arrives in camouflage and ballots often look like formalities, one show dares to laugh with Africa, at Africa, and sometimes for Africa. This is Second Take, your weekly dose of political satire with an African soul and a global edge. From coups disguised as press briefings to ministers moonwalking past accountability, we serve the real news with sharper writing. Each week we bring you the TikTok of the week because sometimes the revolution is vertical, and the heartwarming moment of the week to remind us that not everything is burning. We also sit down with the bold, the brilliant, and the brave, voices that question power, stir thought, and spark laughter. Because when the headlines are wild, the leaders are louder, and the truth is lost in translation, we all need a second take.
Aitsa is 'n echt Namibiese inisiatief. Ons reis op die hartklop van Afrika en vertel stories van mense en hulle dorpe op verskeie platforms insluitende televisie en sosiale media. Dit is joune, syne, julle en ook almal van hulle aan die ander kant van ons grense sinne. En dit maak Aitsa 'n lekker ding. Kyk Aitsa maande om 18:30 op NTV182.com as ook op Netwerk Media Hub en NTV Afrikaans se YouTube kanale. Volg ons op Facebook of besoek ons webwerf by aitsafrika.com.
Business First Africa is a forward-looking business show that goes beyond balance sheets to capture how Africans are building, creating, and living. Afrotech explores innovation, AI, and digital systems shaping the continent's economies. Brave and Building profiles Namibian entrepreneurs and businesses transforming industries and urban spaces. Creative Capital spotlights creatives and the creative economy, unpacking how culture becomes value. Africa in 10 delivers a sharp roundup of key developments across the continent. Don't miss Business First Africa, because it's not just business, it's life. All right, yes, so with Africa Good Morning, it's time for us to get into our top stories. We start in Namibia, where Namibia's Minister of Finance, Erika Shafudah, tabled the 2026-2027 appropriation bill, setting total expenditure at $105.9 billion Namibian dollars against projected revenue of $89.8 billion. The budget deficit is projected at 5.5% of GDP, with a financing requirement of $19.2 billion Namibian dollars. Public debt stands at $174.5 billion, equivalent to 65.2% of GDP, while interest payments are expected to reach $16.2 billion in the fiscal year. The social sector receives $54.3 billion, accounting for 61.7% of expenditure, excluding interest. Education, Innovation, Arts and Culture allocated $28 billion Namibian dollars, including $2.8 billion Namibian dollars for subsidized tertiary education and $939 million Namibian dollars for development projects. Health and Social Services received $13.1 billion Namibian dollars, while Sports, Youth and National Services were allocated 750 million Namibian dollars. Looking at the safety and security sector, they were allocated 17 billion Namibian dollars, with an economic growth for 2025 being revised to 2.9% and 3.1% projected for 2026, and inflation expected to average 3.5%. And in South Africa, which tabled its budget just a day before Namibia, South Africa's Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana said achieving fiscal targets alone would not be enough to attract investment, emphasizing the need for stronger economic growth. Speaking after presenting the 2026 budget in Cape Town, Godongwana noted the economy was on course for a third consecutive primary budget surplus, with debt projected to peak this year. South Africa's growth has averaged below 1% over the past decade, rising slightly last year and expected to reach 1.6% this year. Improved domestic demand and strong commodity prices have supported revenue. Godongwana told Reuters the reform agenda was resonating with investors and could lift fixed investment over time. He said government was developing a legal fiscal anchor to maintain sustainable public finances, with further details expected at the midterm budget review in October or November. Now, our next two stories detail a story of health financing from the United States and the response from African countries. We'll start with Zimbabwe's response. Zimbabwe has rejected a proposed U.S. health agreement valued at $367 million over 5 years after concerns about demands for sensitive data. A leaked December government memo revealed President Emmerson Mnangagwa considered the arrangement lopsided. Government spokesperson Nick Mangwana said the U.S. sought access to biological samples for research and commercial gain without guarantees. Zimbabwe would benefit from resulting vaccines, diagnostics, or treatments. U.S. Ambassador Pamela Tremont confirmed Washington would begin winding down health assistance. The U.S. Embassy noted it had provided over $1.9 billion in funding to Zimbabwe over 2 decades. The proposed funding targeted HIV and AIDS treatment and prevention, tuberculosis, malaria, maternal and child health, and disease outbreak preparedness, including support for 1.2 million people on HIV treatment. Mangwana said Zimbabwe's stance was not anti-American and welcomed dialogue respecting sovereignty. The Zimbabwe College of Public Health Physicians called for continued negotiations. The dispute follows similar concerns in Kenya and comes as President Donald Trump has reduced foreign aid and reshaped U.S. aid operations. And now we'll swing across Victoria Falls to Zambia's response to the U.S. wanting to fund its health care. Zambia has paused, or rather rejected, key elements of a proposed U.S. health funding agreement worth over $1 billion across 5 years, saying certain clauses do not align with national interests. The Memorandum of Understanding would fund HIV and AIDS, malaria, maternal and child health, and disease outbreak preparedness, with Zambia committing about $340 million in co-financing. The Ministry of Health requested revisions to drafts initially set for signing in November 2025. Officials stressed the deal must focus strictly on health and exclude minerals and natural resources. Critics, including Health GAP, raised concerns that funding continuation could be linked to bilateral mining compact involving copper and cobalt. There were also concerns about provisions related to health data and pathogen cooperation. Zambia said it remains open to engagement on transparent terms aligned with national priorities. The development follows reports of Zimbabwe, as we spoke about it, withdrawing from a $367 million agreement. So we know that there was pushback from Zimbabwe, there was pushback from Zambia, there was pushback from Kenya. However, DR Congo reacted differently. Democratic Republic of Congo and the United States have agreed to a $1.2 billion strategic health partnership covering 2026 to 2031. The joint statement said $900 billion would come from targeted U.S. government assistance, while Congo would provide $300 million through progressively increased domestic health expenditure. The partnership will also focus on HIV and AIDS, tuberculosis, malaria, maternal and child health, polio eradication, epidemiological surveillance, health, workforce development, and emergency preparedness and response. Congo's ministry said the structural investment aims to strengthen healthcare system resilience, improve care, and consolidate healthcare sovereignty. The funding model mirrors U.S. templates requiring domestic contributions. So an interesting story there with regards to U.S. funding. You dial back about a decade, most, if not all of these countries would have happily received the funding, but some rejection and pushback from Zambia, Kenya, and Zimbabwe. However, DR Congo, especially given their mineral deals already in place with the United States, seems to be on board. Those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. After the break, we're going to be getting into the news videos of the week stemming from the land of the brave, Namibia.
Every weekday evening for the Evening Review as we unpack the issues shaping Namibia. From politics and economics to culture and community life, our team delivers sharp analysis, expert insights, and conversations with Namibians across society. It's not just the headlines, it's the full picture. Stay informed and engaged with the Evening Review. This week's decisions, today's debates, tomorrow's consequences. The agenda puts the spotlight on Namibia's most pressing issues and the people driving them. From headline makers to groundbreakers, we bring you voices and perspectives at the center of the national conversation. One story, one interview, the depth you'll not find anywhere else. That is the agenda.
Now, of course, dominating discourse in Namibia this week was the economy, considering the tabling of the budget yesterday. Now, prior to the tabling of the budget, speaking during the 6th anniversary of the 29ers discussion on the road for Namibia in Windhoek, economist Robin Shelbourne said the planned NEPA is more about government control than encouraging private sector growth. He warned that uncertainty around Total Energy's estimated $15 billion Venus offshore development could deter foreign investment. Here he is.
It doesn't encourage, it's a regulator. It shouldn't be called the NEPA. It should be called the Namibia Investment Regulation Authority, or Act, because it's all about government control of private sector investment. It's not about incentivizing it. We've gone completely down the wrong road there. And I'm very sorry to say that, but it's absolutely key. Okay, my fifth point, Dean, I'm getting to the end of it, don't worry. Oil and gas, everyone, we all think we're going to be billionaires tomorrow. Oil and gas, well, look across the continent. Oil and gas hasn't been an unalloyed blessing to many of the people in this beautiful continent of ours, right? In fact, it's been a curse a lot of the time. Now, oil and gas, it has the potential. One single investment in the Venus, in Total Energy's investment, Venus offshore, ultra-deep water offshore oil and gas field here, Venus, is going to cost them $15 billion. $15 billion. That's bigger than our entire economy. Yeah, it's huge. Do we want this investment or not? If we want it, we need to put the rules and regulations in place that encourages Total to come and invest in this venture. There are other ventures too, Rhino, Mapani Field, you name it. But these are huge amounts of money. And my sense is we've now wasted this discovery was made at the beginning of 2022. Yeah? And every year, I attend the oil and gas conference here, and every year everyone says, oh, the FID, the final investment decision, is going to be next year. So I remember at 23 we were talking about 24. In 24 we were talking about 25. 25 last year we were talking about 26. It's been pushed back and back and back. And we're also now undertaking another institutional reorganisation of oil and gas and a review of all our oil and gas regulations, from the fiscal stabilisation agreements to the local content policy.
Now, Emerald Sand Platform's Executive Director, Nangula Uaandja, said Namibians draft strong policies but struggle with implementation. She referenced Vision 2030, National Development Plans, and President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah's 500,000 jobs pledge, urging citizens to define their role. Now, Tousy Namiseb noted Namibia will host the CPA Africa Region Executive Committee meeting. That's a bit of a separate update. First, some words from Nangula Uaandja.
What is our role in that sense? A lot has also been said about how, as a nation, we are very, very good at crafting great documents. And that is why we do have great documents, whether it's Vision 2030, whether it's the National Development Plans. So we have got good documents that are very well written. But I agree, I was in the private sector and I went to the public sector. And when I was in the public sector, I realized I did not understand what those documents really said. So, but then of course now it was my duty to read those documents. It was my duty to understand those documents. But then I also look at it, because for me now, life is responsibility. I say, what is my responsibility and how can I help other fellow Namibians to understand their roles and responsibility? And yes, it therefore starts because maybe we come to something more practical. So the president last year, when she was, or the year before, when she was campaigning, she said 500,000 jobs. What did many people say? Oh, no, impossible. Fine, maybe it's not 500,000, maybe it's 100,000. But when a leader says that is the vision, then of course the rest of us, whether we are in the public sector, whether we are in the private sector, then we kind of think, what is my own?
From the economy to the environment. Hippo poaching along the Okavango River is spiraling, and this is in a warning from Max Paxton of Shafudah camp between Rundu and Divundu. He said reports to the Ministry of Environment and Police saw little action. Declining hippo sightings have sharply affected tourism as well as his business. This video is by Elliot Ping.
My name is Mark Paxton and I'm the owner and manager of Shafudah camp, and have been so since 99, so we've been here for a long time. This latest poaching situation shows a drastic increase. Every year I, together with a group, count the hippos as well as the birds and all the other animals along this stretch of about 25 kilometers of the Okavango River. And in this period, where we had these massive poaching incidents, we had a decrease from 189 hippos in July 2024, which is what we officially counted, to 43 hippos in the same month the following year, and that was over this poaching incident. These counts that we do, I send these counts. The birding stuff goes to Wetlands International, and the rest of the stuff, although it is private, is made aware with to MET. MET has been aware of this situation every single time. I try my best to work with authorities in the first place. I report to MET, Ministry of Fisheries, and to the police. So each and every one of these incidences, even if it's a shot that we hear, I report this to the police and MET. 9 times out of 10, MET doesn't respond at all. Police does occasionally, and at best, they would come out here and talk to me about it, but no arrests have ever been made with regard to the poaching. And
all right, it's time for us to swing into some positive news, particularly in the sector of sport. Roads Construction Company interim CEO Dasius Nelumbu said constructing sports facilities nationwide will help unearth talented youth in Namibia. He spoke during the groundbreaking ceremony at a Heke settlement in the Oshana region, where RCC will build a basic sports field. This video is by Kenya Kamboy.
This sport field. One in Heke and one in Namtai. We'll start with those two. We cannot ask more other than being the contractor, constructing a facility where our young people learn, where they will develop talents which can earn them world title in the future. We are saying so because once you avail a sport facility to the young people, you start to realize their talent. Some of us, probably like myself, would have been the Messi of Namibia, but because the sport field had not been there, I couldn't make it. But with this facility, we are giving, the government is giving that opportunity to our young people. Today, seeing this project move from discussion to implementation is something we are genuinely proud of. This initiative speaks to our national vision of empowering youth and strengthening communities. Beyond the plans, beyond the policies, this is about creating real space where young people can train, compete, grow, build confidence, and I highlight that word, build confidence, because sometimes one needs to see what is it that they are able to do for them to really build their own confidence. This is all what the young people need to thrive in their community. At RCC,
and in the last of our video updates, staying with sports, Denille, Roostee, Group Executive for Marketing at Momentum, delivered remarks at the MyZone NSSR League launch. Momentum has sponsored the NSSR League for the next 4 years, supporting school sport development through the partnership. This video is by Desmarius Hansen.
As well. But today, it's not only revealing a sponsor. It is about announcing a partnership with purpose. Momentum is proud to stand as the main sponsor of the Namibian School League, but we are equally proud to be standing alongside these amazing sponsors. My Synergy, Exco, and Zuko, thank you for coming together and partnering with us, because without you, no one would be able to bring on the momentum. Initiatives like these are definitely not built only by one organization. There's many people behind these brands as well. It's one brand, but I can tell you many people behind that brand working tirelessly and passionately to actually make this happen. At Momentum, we believe success is a journey, and the journey often begins long before a career. I know he was mentioning he was an early bloomer or a late bloomer, but it all starts at grassroots level. Leadership starts at grassroots level. The ability to collaborate starts at
Those have been our stories, not just for today, but for the week. But keep in mind, you can watch any of our shows at your time on oneup2.com. You can click Echo, find Africa Good Morning, or go to NTV Africa, Africa with a K, NTVAFRIKA.MY.NA, and you can also watch this episode. Or you can hold on until Monday when we return with Mike Sichula delivering the news from Zambia. And as always, we'll be bringing you the top stories from broader Africa. It's been a wonderful week. Let's have a wonderful weekend from myself and the Africa Good Morning team, which pretty much comprises of Kaya and myself, Shafudah.